Asia altogether, without the other side of the Pacific region, is one of the most promising regions in the world. It's the fastest growing region, as the minister just talked about. Today, we have 234 million people visiting Asia. That is about 1/4 of the visitors of the world, which is 1 billion. And they're generating about $300 billion in terms of income. Our study that was accomplished 2 years ago, Tourism Towards 2030, is forecasting that by the year 2030, in 17 years or so, Asia will be receiving 540 million travelers. That will constitute, at that time, about 30% of world travelers, because the world will be receiving 1.8 billion travelers at that time. The average growth in Asia will be about 5% year over year, which is 1.2 higher than the world average, which we are estimating at 3.8. There are so many figures that I could give you. We don't want to bombard you with so many of those figures. There's a press release that went out. The study itself will be available for you to see it. And I think, as we all know and we're accustomed to, we would rather respond to questions that are on your minds than to give you what we think you would like to have. So with that, I will close the minister, and of course, as the minister said, we're both ready to respond to any of your questions, whether it's related to this particular study or to the broader issue of tourism in APEC, in Asia, or internationally. Thank you so much again, Minister, for all the work that you have done.
Thank you, Khalid. And I just wanted to emphasize why Indonesia took up this travel facilitation initiative and trying to push it ahead is because it's part of our priority this year, which is connectivity. And here we're talking about people-to-people connectivity, which is an important part of the APEC priority and vision. I'd like to now open the floor for any questions.
May we have the first 3 questions, please? 1, 2, and the lady at the front. Thank you. First lady, please. Excuse me.
The slowdown in the global economy has had I think it has had some impact mainly on the European travel. I think Taleb is in a better position to answer for me. But what we see in the numbers is actually that the Asia-Pacific region, as well as Southeast Asia in particular, the growth is still very high. Yeah? So it shows you that the tourism sector is actually resilient or robust despite the slowdown in the world economy. And a lot of it is actually coming from our own region, Asia as well as Asia-Pacific region. And that really is another reason why we feel it's so important to make sure that we can facilitate intra-regional travel as much as possible, because we see that as the source of growth. I think since the last decade, both Asia-Pacific and Asia is the highest growth in terms of tourism, and it is double the average world growth. Like right now, the average world growth in tourism, I think you had some good numbers the other day, 6%, is it?
The first 6 months.
The first 6 months of this year, global tourism grew at 5%, and then Asia Pacific was growing at 6%, and Southeast Asia was like 8 or 9%. Yeah, 8 or 9%. So Indonesia, our numbers in August just released. It looks really good. In August this year compared to August last year, the growth of tourism numbers for Indonesia was like 21%. And January to August compared to January-August last year, we are growing at above 8%. So we are also experiencing the robust growth. So that emphasizes the need for us to continue to focus on the tourism sector, because it is going to create jobs, it is going to generate foreign exchange revenue. What are the challenges in the travel facilitation initiative? Basically, it's a lot of coordination between different agencies. You are talking about immigration, customs, and the security-related agencies, as well as the airports itself, and then, of course, the tourism ministries and the transportation ministries. So it's a question of making sure there's coordination and political commitment in each country to want to coordinate and have this outcome where you want fast and secure flow of people. You want to make sure that we don't, we do consider security as a very important concern as well, but how do you do it in a way which can still facilitate the low-risk travelers to be able to be facilitated? So one is the coordination. I would say second is technology, because technology has a lot of role to play to make things easier. Online application, improving your website, e-visa, biometric passport. This is the direction that we will be going. But countries will have different capacities in terms of the technology. And I would say this is one of the advantages of APEC, where you can share experiences and even have capacity building to be able to discuss how to do the technology. The third challenge would be database sharing, because we have a good example actually, which is the APEC business travel card. You do it starting bilaterally between countries, because that's how you do it. And then you share the data, you share the information. For this person, you are registered in this country, and then you get registered bilaterally in another country. So sharing of data, which is kind of a security issue, as well as systems, making sure your systems are interoperable, I think that's the right term, is probably another challenge that we need to do. But what we want to do is be able to agree, this is what we want to do, these are the best practices, this is how we should move forward. Maybe we can't do it all, APEC, all at once, but we can do it nationally first, and then bilaterally, and maybe a few countries, because that's actually exactly how the APEC business mobility, APEC travel business card also started with a few countries and then expanded.
Yeah, that's an important question, but of course the question requires a much in-depth answer. Let me try to sum it up in two ways. One, the impact. What are the influence of the result? Let me sum it up with 3 points. One, Europe, where the core of the economic difficulty and challenge is taking place, is experiencing a very slow outbound trend. Europe until today represents 52% of the outbound. 52% of the tourists of the world come out of Europe. This is going down, and more Europeans are staying within Europe. Their spending capacity is being lowered. However, as a result of that, they are receiving more tourists. International tourism is what is keeping Europe alive, not domestic tourism, and not their ability to spend. Number two is Asia. Asia is becoming a very important inbound and outbound market. It's becoming the source market for the world. China, for the first time ever now, has become #1 source market of the world. 82 million tourists came out of China, spending $105 billion in 1 year. So that's this second aspect. The third aspect is the catering, the ascendancy of the new source markets that are coming from emerging destinations, particularly from India, from Brazil, from China, from Russia. Russia and China were the two fastest growing source markets in the world in the last 2 years. China grew at 31%, Russia grew at 23% in 1 year in the outbound market. What are the challenges? What we need to do? We need to adjust. We need to adjust to the new reality. There are new travelers with new profiles, with new attitudes. We need to prepare ourselves for them. 2, we need to become more open, as the minister just said. We cannot afford anymore to work in the classical way. And 3, we have to be good. We have to run our country well. There is no real logic in trying to promote people to come to your country if your country is not prepared for them. So we need to do our homework at home. And the details of that, of course, are very well known to many of you, but we can respond to any of the detailed issues like the minister just referred to. Airport procedures, visa procedures, services, language skills, quality, standards. These are all things that we need to do because we have to do anyhow to improve quality of life in our countries anyhow. When our countries become good, people come and visit us. People don't visit us only because we advertise or we promote our country. That is a very short-lived strategy. So we have to do our homework at home.
Thank you. We have the second question.
Because Bumari earlier mentioned about ABPC card, and 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, when you were holding a meeting in Sheraton, you told us that the ABPC card is also available. we are trying, you are trying to provide the ABTC card also for the non-business people. So what does the concrete steps to make that into reality? That's the first. And then the question is, ABTC card is, if as some were to know, is only issued for 19 or 20. There are still some country members of APEC who, which that not issue it. For example, like Canada. So, are you also trying to approach the other country who is not, which not issued this kind of card? Thank you very much.
Basically, this comes under what we call the Trusted Traveler Program, which is something which is being discussed in APEC. At least for this year, APEC itself has agreed that for disaster relief worker, they can, because when you have a disaster, you want people to be able to move quickly, and that's already been agreed in APEC for this year. That for that category, so basically what you need to do is agree what is the category of person. How do you define a person as a trusted traveler? That means that person doesn't need a visa or can have very quick clearance at immigration. And for this year, we already decided in APEC that disaster relief workers within APEC can qualify. Now, what we would like to do from the tourism perspective is, okay, what next? How do we, let's agree on what are the criteria or parameters that you want to attach to trusted traveler? And one would be like frequent traveler, right? And that would be recorded actually in the database of immigration as well as IATA. We had a discussion with the IATA, which is the International Association of Travel Aviation. So they actually, because of the ticketing, you can also know who are frequent traveler. So if you're a frequent traveler, maybe, in phase by phase, maybe you can become a trusted traveler, which maybe you will have something attached to your passport, which allows you, if it's not free visa, like the APEC business card, at least you go through an auto gate, which doesn't necessitate you to line up at the immigration. And in fact, Indonesia already has auto gate, starting with Indonesian citizens to begin with. We have the Sapphire program, which is something you pay for that service. But the immigration, our immigration actually already just started a few months ago, AutoGate, which means we as Indonesian citizens, we can go and register, and then they take your fingerprint, and next time you come home, you just go through this AutoGate. You don't need to line up in immigration. So that this is the first step, and I think the immigration is planning to make this also available for foreign tourists who are going to be classified as frequent traveler. Now, how do we do it? How do we expand it? I think you have to start bilaterally. This is normally the way it's done. You start bilaterally, stay with another country, so that at least between your two countries, you can have these different categories of trusted traveler who can be facilitated. And then it expands. But to be able to make that expansion efficient would be a good idea to agree that this is the kind of maybe the criteria of trusted traveler that we kind of agree on, and there are actually a lot of discussion about this in different fora. And then if once you agree on what is classified as trusted traveler, how do you actually get the data on that person, right? So it's about database and it's about system. Ideally you should have the same system so that you can share data, you can operate between systems. So it's kind of a technical issue, but it's an important issue because otherwise the system doesn't work. And that's again going back to the experience of the APEC business travel card. That's how it started. It started bilaterally, and then now it's expanded so that I think it's either 19 or 20 economies who are members. The US and Canada maybe still not completely in. But it's still pretty good with 19 economies, and I know that our business people do find it very, very efficient.
Thank you. Third question.